Hey boys and girls, FenixFire here again. This time I've got an RU match against MugennoByakuya. Channel link can be found in the description. With Halloween coming around at the end of the month, I figure I'd try a team consisting of only dark, poison and ghost type Pokemon. Somewhat daunting considering no rapid spinner or user of stealth rocks can be found there. Still, it was a lot of fun to create, so let's start the video. My opponent begins by sending out Lapras, while I choose Beedrill as my opening gambit. With the foe lacking access to Taunt on his lead and no rapid spinner in wings, my Pokemon is able to freely deploy a first layer of Toxic Spikes, while in the meantime, Lapras utilizes Dragon Dance, sharpening both its speed and attack. With my foe being faster thanks to Dragon Dance, I let Beedrill take the hit and retaliate with my secret weapon, Endeavor, setting the HP of the target to my own. Spotting the enemy sporting a Life Orb as well and my Toxic Spikes in place, Lapras will perish regardless of its next action. Figuring I could use Beedrill still, I decide to recall it and let Qwilfish handle Lapras' last offensive with its beneficial typing and Intimidate ability. Wary that Beedrill might have sported Quick Attack, my adversary lashes out with Ice Shot. As Life Orb takes its toll, Lapras becomes the first victim of the match. Down one Pokemon, the enemy charges forward with Electros. Unsure of its potential, I decide to stay in and set up a layer of spikes. Much to my dismay, the foe uses Coil instead of U-turn or another straight-up physical blow, one that I surely could have taken due to Qwilfish's physical defensive schooling. Anticipating the enemy would continue this course of action, I quickly provoke him with Taunt to stop a potential physical monster dead in its tracks. Dreadfully enough, Electros once again takes me by surprise and charges a mighty Thunder attack. Thanks to Coil providing the adversary a 93% accurate stab move. As I catch wind of the foe's Life Orb, I commit Beedrill to battle again in order to cripple Electros completely with Endeavor, much in the same way how Lapras was handled considering the Pokemon also utilizes the same item. Foreseeing this, my opponent orders Electros to disband its position and retaliates with Dusknoir, who remains unaffected by the move, courtesy of its ghost typing. Figuring the foe would most likely pack Shadow Sneak, I quickly throw up my guard in the form of Protect, to check and inflict additional poison damage on Dusknoir. Albeit only dispensing minor damage there, it would be unwise not to utilize every legal advantage available. Positive my foe will want to switch up his tactics, yet fixed on keeping Beedrill alive to prevent any devastation out of Electros, I swap my Pokemon out for Cofagrigus, while the enemy fires off Will-O-Wisp. Although this does cut my wall's durability, my spirit knows rest to mend itself if the situation turns dire, and is therefore the least affected by said move. As the opponent slams the ground with Earthquake, I assume my opponent would switch out to capitalize on my poor offensive and direct Cofagrigus to wreath the opponent in flames. Unfortunately enough, Mugenno is undeterred as shown by the previous attack. With neither ghost going nowhere, it is time to show their competitor what they're made of. As Dusknoir sneaks upon Cofagrigus, his stab attack is able to deal critical damage to my Pokemon. Not wanting to be left in the dust, my Spectre crafts a most malicious Shadow Ball. In a stroke of spite, Cofagrigus is able to hit Dusknoir for critical damage as well, vanquishing the foe's Pokemon. As my apparition stands triumphant, his glory is surely short-lived in this faint state. Flying in Honchkrow to finish the deal, my adversary is able to destroy what remains of Cofagrigus with a swift Brave Bird, quickly repaying my victory by once again equalizing the scoreboard, this time at 4 versus 4. As I send in Crocodile to requite the enemy's previous attack, I once again opt for a cautious approach and go for Stone Edge. Predictably enough, my opponent does shift his Pokemon to Hitmonchan, who is able to endure the effort on account of his typing. Seeing how little damage my move inflicted on this physically frail Pokemon, Crocodile is unable to stay in no matter what. Nevertheless, having lost both Cofagrigus and Qwilfish already, leaves me wanting for a Pokemon to take the incoming fighting type move. With nothing else to spare, I send in Mandibuzz to weather the assault for now, luckily enough only taking half damage in the process. Fearful I might strike back, the opponent quickly recalls Hitmonchan in favor of Electros, providing me the chance to patch myself up with Roost. Even though I'm facing down an unfavorable type matchup, I can't let Electros set up on me again, nor risk Beedrill dying to it when switching my Pokemon in. Although I could sacrifice Mandibuzz for a safe switch-in, I'd be hard-pressed against Hitmonchan's onset. In conclusion, I decide to remain in and taunt the enemy. In the meantime, Mandibuzz is able to dodge the first Thunder attack and befoul the enemy with Toxic, while the foe lashes out with Brick Break. As the recoil damage from Life Orb and Toxic accumulates, I might have a slim chance of dealing with Electros outright. Hedging my bets that I might outstall this behemoth's powerful stab by shedding my flying type with Roost, my adversary is able to land a second Thunder and deal untold damage, far surpassing what I could have anticipated. Aside from that, Manibus is left paralyzed as well, losing the sole edge I had over Electros in terms of speed. With little hope left for my Pokemon, I leave it in to stall out my foe for the remainder of its life. As the third Thunder hits home, Manibus is eliminated from play and drops the score to 3 versus 4. Although I am left outnumbered, my foe's brigade is severely crippled, so I'm definitely not out of this one yet. With residual damage sapping the foe's Pokemon with every turn, I direct Beedrill to the playing field again. As I'm able to deliver the killing blow with a swarm-boosted U-turn, I deploy my last unused Pokemon, Absol. My opponent responds by unleashing his Lilligant. An auspicious twist, as I do have the Lumberry equipped, providing my Pokemon a unique opportunity to stop the adversary before status besets me. As the enemy wafts the air with sleep powder, the Lumberry takes effect and cures me instantly. A quick slash soon follows, yet is unable to subdue the critter due to his lack of boosts or a power-inducing item. Luckily for me, the poisonous spikes laid down by Beedrill run its course, leaving Lilligant in a critical condition. Desperate to evade another sleep-inducing aroma, I command Absol to use Sucker Punch lest my foe lunges. Regrettably, Mugenno maintains his attack and hits a second time, causing Absol to doze off. Fortunately, Poison is able to knock out the foe's Pokemon, a small consolation when your own Pokemon is fast asleep. Seizing the opportunity at hand, the enemy strikes with close combat, devastating Absol in the process. With only 2 Pokemon remaining on either side, the tension surely starts to peak. Unsure if Beedrill would be able to outrun my opponent, I oblige my fighter to use Protect to stall for additional harm caused by the Venom. As I'm able to deflect Hitmonchan's move, the residual damage proves to be insufficient. As I prepare to leap at a competitor with U-turn, his Pokemon proves to be speedier than anticipated, blindsiding Beedrill with another barrage. Victorious over my felt Pokemon, the infection catches up and causes Hitmonchan to finally black out, leaving the match at a tense 1v1. Everything depends on the outcome of the next turn. Confident I can punish the foe's Honchkrow, I order Crocodile to strike with Stone Edge, but my creature fails to hit the target. As my opponent handily exploits the situation, he is able to annihilate my Pokemon with superpower, allowing him to narrowly escape defeat and end the match in a 0 versus 1. That was the game for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. In retrospect, I played it safe, definitely too safe this time around, and that eventually cost me the match. You could say luck wasn't on my side here, but you cannot control that, so there's no need to blame it for a demise. I had this battle backed up for about 8 days now, but was a bit busy, so I only just got around to casting it and narrating it. Feel free to comment, like and subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to check your subscription boxes on the 31st. FenixFire out.